Hello everyone, welcome to the second section, which is Apply Regression Techniques in TensorFlow. In this section, we are going to learn what is machine learning. Here we will know about different types of machine learning algorithms and how it works under the hood. Then we'll solve a regression problem from scratch by creating 1 million data points in TensorFlow. That will be a very exciting tutorial coming ahead, and we'll do all the things step by step from scratch. Then we'll create a housing price predictor model by using regression algorithm in TensorFlow. Here we'll use TensorFlow Estimator API to do the task. Okay, so without further ado, let's straight dive into it. What is machine learning? In this video, we are going to do the following. First, we'll know three major branches of machine learning. Then we'll know regression and classification techniques of supervised learning. After that, we'll know k-means clustering in unsupervised learning. Next, we'll learn about reinforcement learning. And finally, we'll talk about 7 steps that we need to follow to build a machine learning model. Well, machine learning is a technique where a machine can learn something through previous experiences. After the learning process, then we'll use machine learning model to predict something. There are 3 major branches of machine learning. Number 1, supervised learning. Number 2, unsupervised learning. And number 3, reinforcement learning. Let's know about supervised learning first. There are 2 main types of techniques used in supervised learning. One is regression technique and another is classification technique. Let's try to understand all these techniques by an example. Let's imagine you have 10 friends and you know some of their features like heights, weights, and gender. Let's put all this information into a table. Now let's say we'll build a machine learning model where you feed all this data to the model and train your model. You give heights and weights as a feature and gender as a level. Level is the value that we are trying to predict. We also split our dataset into 2 sets. One is training set to train our model, and another is test set to test and evaluate our model performance. The rule of thumb is 70-30 split ratio for training and test set, but it totally depends on how much data do you have. After training your model, now if you give heights and weights of your other new friends to the model, then it will give you prediction about whether your friend is male or female. In our example, our level are categorical, like male or female. It may be country or 0 or 1. So, if the level of a machine learning model is categorical variable, then that model would be called classification model, which is ours. But if we try to predict a continuous or numeric variable like any real number or floating point number, then our model would be called regression model. In the next upcoming tutorials, we'll see a lot more details about regression techniques. Okay, now let's say we have only data, but we don't know what we are looking for. That means we have only features. In that scenario, we will use unsupervised learning. We can use clustering technique to group or segment the data based on their similarities and relationships. In our example, if we plot heights in x-axis and weights in y-axis, and your male friends with green stars and female friends with red stars, then we can clearly see that there are 2 groups or segments exist here. We use clustering techniques of unsupervised learning in recommended system to recommend something to the users based on their previous behavior. Google, Facebook, Amazon, all these big giant organizations have their own robust and powerful recommended system. Now let's move on to the next branches of machine learning, which is reinforcement learning. It's not like other machine learning model. In the real world, we cannot solve every problem just by predicting something. Think of it like, how do you teach machine to ride a bicycle? Machine can't learn to ride a bicycle just by some data. Here reinforcement learning comes into play. In reinforcement learning, you have an environment and an agent. Agent performs some action in the environment, and based on its action, it will get either reward or punishment. We will give +1 as a reward and -1 as a punishment to the agent. and agent will always try to find the optimal way to do a task in the environment to get more reward. That's the way reinforcement learning works. If you want to learn more about reinforcement learning, just Google OpenAI Gym and then go to the website and read the documentation and start your journey in the world of reinforcement learning. Okay, now let's look at all the steps we have to follow to do a machine learning task. Actually, there are 7 steps in machine learning. First, we will gather the data. Then we have to prepare the dataset for computation. After that, we'll choose a model which we'll implement into the dataset based on what we are looking from the data. Then we'll train our model. After training, we have to evaluate our model performance. Then we are gonna do parameter tuning to increase the model performance. And lastly, now our model is ready to predict something, so we'll give some new data to the model that this model didn't see before. Then our model should be able to make some prediction. I know some of this might seem confusing to you, but don't worry. When we'll start off creating our machine learning model step by step, then you will get comfortable with all of these topics.